Welcome to Crossing the Stream. I'm your host, Eric.
And I'm Jesse, and here with us we have...
Tyler.
Hello, how are you?
I'm alright. How's everyone today?
I'm good.
I'm great.
That's good.
You are quite the celebrity around Welland, and I think we can tell maybe what it's for, but could you tell everybody sort of, I guess, what hobby classification you're in?
I'm a furry, and so it's pretty big. A lot of people are surprised that I'm doing it in Welland, like going out there and going and not publicizing it, but like just going out there by myself. And
I get it, because it's got to take some kind of like drive to want to walk around town with a big dog head on your shoulders.
I just do it for the reaction of people. Like, it's fun. I got people waving at me, honking at me, saying, "Go, man, go." Like I listen to music while I do it too. So
that's the interesting thing too, is when I first saw you, it was on Welland Memes, and I was so happy to see it. And I went to the comment section, and I was expecting a lot of hate, because it's a fun group on the internet to hate overall. But people were overwhelmingly positive for the most part. It was so fun to see.
I had one person be really negative, and then there was one comment on Welland Memes, and then I posted something on it, I commented on it, and then it got removed.
What was your comment?
Well, the comment was like I should commit hate crimes, and then I says, "Oh, I slurred or said a rude word," and then the comment literally like within 20 minutes got taken down.
That's interesting, because Welland Memes is usually a more edgy place to be to begin with. I wouldn't have thought that they'd be taking stuff down.
Yeah, and I had another friend that's a furry on Instagram message me saying, "Hey, my friend saw you," and I'm like, "Yeah, it was fun." And then that day, I made it on Welland Memes 5 times, which was the most I've been on Welland Memes in one day. So
I understand that some of the people in the community are having different reactions to it as well, because there's, I guess, a group of furries in Niagara that were all wondering if it was you that was out there, and some of them were a little bit concerned.
Oh, really?
Well, it seemed like they're just maybe for your own well-being to a degree. But
True.
Yeah.
But,
do you think, I mean, it must be fairly uncommon for most people to have like a fursuit head in the region, because I'm sure there's quite a few furries, but you don't see them.
Yeah, you don't see them too much because a lot of people just don't go out, I think, because of the people hating.
See, and there's another function of it too. Like, it's not like you can go to a convention at this point in time because nothing's open, right?
Yeah, because nothing's open, so it's like we can't do anything and we can't go nowhere because of the virus. But
yeah, do you think maybe like big cities and stuff are a better place to be fursuiting, like more friendly to the idea?
Honestly, I don't like Toronto and stuff. I wouldn't do it.
No,
or Hamilton, but like small cities like Welland, St. Catharines, Port Colborne, it depends on the city, right? And it depends on the crime rate, because you got to watch.
Yeah, like there's a whole issue of like not being aware of your surroundings when you're in one of those, because it's like severe tunnel vision and audio isolation and not that kind of thing too.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be the victim of something while you're out.
Right. And yeah.
How long would you say you've been part of the furry fandom?
Oh, God.
Is it going to make you sound old or something?
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm trying to think back when I first kind of got into it. I would have said I would have been about 15, I think.
15? Okay. That's fair enough. That's about the time when I had first heard of the concept myself.
Yeah.
And what made you get into it? What was the attractive feature of it?
As weird as it sounds, oh God, how to go about this? I didn't know about the community, about everything when I first got into it. So it was like the porn, and then I was like watching, and then eventually it was like, that's not everything, right? Like there's people that actually dress up in the fursuits. So then I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then the art, and then like meeting like this, like watching YouTube videos on furries and stuff. So then that's like, okay, so there's more to it than the porn and all that. So it's not just like,
That's the fun thing too, is I remember there being a big faux pas about that side of the community, but it seems like more people are open to talking about it now, and it's more segmented as it's purely adult thing anyways. Like,
Yeah.
it's because I guess maybe the two concepts were mingling, where there's these all these fursuiters that want to get reactions and stuff, especially like from children, and just interact with the general community. But then there's also the darker or more adult side of things that they couldn't really reconcile. But
Yeah.
it seems like maybe things are changing around that too.
Well, it's hard to say. Like, it's hard to determine that at this point, for me at least, because I only go out a couple days a week and fursuit.
That's fair. I remember hearing something about Strawberry Madeira or someone like that who had information leak about them doing more adult activities and stuff like that when they were usually like this very kid-friendly brand, but at the same time people sort of stuck up for him in that situation, which I've heard from other furry YouTubers was not the case long ago. Like, for instance, I can think of Odin Wolf, if you know who that is. Yeah, that was somebody who was completely like torn apart for what he did, separate to all of his YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff.
And see, like, the thing is, what I think at least is, like, if you were to do that kind of thing, you have two. You have one for personal use, and then you have the one to go outside, and you know what I mean?
That's the separation that a lot of people are talking about. Because I think the general public might get this wrong idea that all these furries are just going to a convention and then meeting in a hotel room to do unspeakable things later, and they're using the same dirty suit to meet, children. And I don't think anybody with a conscience is really about that.
Yeah. Like, there's obviously cleaning products and stuff, right? Like, but like, a lot of people don't think that, right?
No.
Because I think the maker said that you're supposed to like use the water cleaner or whatever it is to clean the foam every so many hours.
Like a steam cleaner?
Yeah, I'd say a steam
Okay,
cleaner
okay.
because the balaclava, the balaclava only does so much, and I sweat a lot.
That's true, yeah. So underneath
So-
your head, we saw you put on a balaclava beforehand because you don't want the foam right against your skin. I've never seen a fursuit head up close, so it's really, really fascinating to me to see it. And you also said that your eyes are painted and that there's different options for that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's different options. You can get these ones are see-through, so I can see through the whole eye, right? But the resin ones you can only see through about that, like where you can see is through here. My friend has it, and he has a hard time seeing and walking, so he needs what they would call a handler to make sure he doesn't walk into things. So.
I've heard of that concept before too. Yeah, I think it was just a safety kind of thing. So you feel comfortable without having anybody guide you around, then I guess.
Yeah, well, I look around and I make sure I look down, like when I'm walking. And at first, when I did, it was really hard. I'm like, oh my god, this is like crazy. Like, why am I doing this? And then at first, it's like, the people. It's more so for me the reaction that people give that boosts my vibe, right? Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I guess it's this very interesting social thing to do.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of what I've seen for why people become a furry, at least in the social sense, is that it's like it's a form of escapism, but it's also a way to like not feel as socially anxious, perhaps, because they get to be a character instead of being themselves, what they're trying to escape.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a lot of subsections. We just did an interview with a cosplayer, and there's cosplayers
That's
out
true.
there that do the same thing. And as I'm looking, I almost forget that I spent a fair amount of my 16 and 17 aged years dressed up as the A&W Root Bear.
Oh, that's cool.
Really?
Yeah, I just thought about that now. And
You've
like,
never said that to before.
no, I have pictures, and when he was talking about the visualizing, I'm like, and like, I had to follow rules as far as movement goes, but they always said, like, don't move your arms too much in case there's a kid behind you and stuff like that. And you were talking about having like somebody who guides you and whatnot, and I could never be alone. But for some reason I just kind of forgot about that until now. But I spend a lot of time being the Root Bear.
Is that more of a traditional mascot kind of looking character? Because I don't even know.
It's a it's a huge costume.
Yeah.
So the head is, it's got a hat. It's probably a little bit bigger than that, but the actual costume, he's a fat bear.
Wow.
So it was big and bulky, and it was hot. I remember, not to bring the attention to me, but I remember doing the A&W Root Bear at the Relay for Life in my town, because A&W had had a tent, and we were supposed to make one lap as the bear to meet people, and that one lap around like a standard high school racetrack took about 3 hours.
Oh man,
That's crazy.
And it was in the summer evening, and at the end of it, I was swimming. Like
Yeah.
it was just
I believe it.
torrential sweat pour.
Do you think you'll be able to still walk around Welland and do your thing when it's like 30 degrees outside?
Debatable. Yesterday, I did the one day where I was all over town. Today I went a bit. It's a little hot, but I normally try to wear a long sleeve because I have the paws and stuff, so I put the paws on. But then, like, you know, if you show your, I think the purpose is when you're first shooting is not to show skin because it defeats the purpose
Yeah.
from what I've heard.
I guess it breaks the character a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
But I don't have I don't have a sleeve yet, so I got to get one commissioned, and then I'll be able to go and try that out and see how it is. But
I guess a thing we could talk about then is if you're trying to commission these pieces, it must be quite expensive to do so. Like, what
Yeah.
if people are into this kind of thing? What can they expect to be paying for different pieces, or maybe even a full suit?
well, when I was trying to get my original first suit made, it was I think $950 US, just for the base head, right?
Yeah,
And then I saw this character, and I'm like, well, for $800 US, it's like I get the paws and the tail and the head. So I'm like, I don't want to. I'm like telling myself, don't do it. And I'm like, you know what?
why not?
I'm gonna do it.
So, this character is a German Shepherd, right?
Yes,
And your character that you were in mind of making something custom of was also a German Shepherd?
Australian Shepherd.
An Australian
So it's-
Shepherd. Ooh, I don't
yeah.
know my dog, so I guess
It's okay.
I barely know the difference. I know that there's a, is it Belgian or something, some kind of similar dog? I don't know.
Right. So
That's interesting. So
It's heavy
so
duty, like
Yeah.
the attention to detail, and just when you brought it in, like the artistic integrity of the head, it's there.
Yeah.
Like, holy hell!
well, they could get pretty intense. Like I seen, I don't remember. I'm trying to think now. They do you can do airbrushing. You can do a whole bunch of stuff, like, which is pretty cool. So.
Do any of them get like, are any of them slightly animatronic? Can you have the mouth move? Can you get one that has a movable mouth or
Yes,
anything like that?
those ones would be resin based. So like instead of having a foam base, it's all resin.
Right.
And the thing is with resin, you've got to be careful because if you drop it, it breaks.
Yes.
It could break. So I was helping my friend fix his resin base because the elastic on the jaw broke.
that's just connected to your chin, so it moves perfectly in sync with it.
Yeah, well, somewhat. It's not.
Somewhat.
You'd have to move your jaw.
A little more exaggerated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking I've never seen it before, but even like if you had something in the ears to make them move or whatever, that'd be so neat.
I
That would be
think
cool.
like Hollywood puppeteers, they use their hands, so they'd have like a pull string for the mouth. And
Oh,
you
that's
pull,
fair, yeah.
It goes in through, and then you pull, and the mouth will open, close, and then it just becomes an orchestra of movement.
That would
But
be cool.
that seems prime for that. Not to go back to it, but I did quickly find that's me.
Oh man, that is a funny looking
I can see
costume.
I could see. That's pretty cool. Oh my god, that's awesome.
It was fun. A weird thing to forget, but it was fun.
Yeah.
That's so much better than all of the kids that get stuck on the street corner and they gotta like flip
Okay,
the
I did that
arrow.
too.
But I mean, like that you
Like-
most of them are you can still tell that it's like a
Oh, yeah.
teenager of some kind.
Well, yeah, my parents owned an adult joke shop, and I was out there.
Oh boy.
Did I never tell you this?
No.
Oh, God.
What?
Never?
Flipping a dildo around
No.
or something?
They would sell fireworks
Okay.
at the shop, and every, like, Canada Day, myself, my brother, sometimes Justin or whatnot would go out, because they also sold Halloween costumes. So I'd go out as a gorilla, I'd go out as a chicken, I'd go out as a gorilla in drag.
Oh god.
And I guess I don't know why I've never told you. It's a weird thing not to tell, but no, it was fun. It was good. I get, like, the notoriety on Well and memes. I get the attention. There is an element there, but the A&W thing, the Grinch was better, but being the A&W walking around the track, everybody knows you. You're a celebrity. It's a very interesting thing.
So you probably got some of that social like vibe of
Oh, I
just
get it.
getting into
Because
it.
people don't care about the person inside. That's the bear. And as long as you play the character, especially, yeah, I was surprised as to how strict A&W was with the characterization. because you had to kind of learn a walk and whatnot because he's a character. He's a licensed, trademarked character. So
That's fair.
it was a very interesting thing, and I did it for. And believe it or not, there's not a lot of people that want to do it. So I did, and it was fun.
I wonder if furries like grab up all the jobs to be like Mickey Mouse at Disneyland or something. Like get to be a mouse for a day.
I don't know.
That'd be interesting to find out.
I mean, you've heard when you mentioned the negative stereotype of furries going to conventions and then all getting into a room and doing the unthinkable things. There's always occasionally you hear tell of Disney characters who get into like Disney orgies. Yeah, that's very common. So you're not that off base to hear horrible stories of like Mickey Mouse porking Eeyore. Like it's possible.
Yeah.
He nodded his head. So
I think
it's legit.
It's okay. I think it proves that adults want to do weird adult things sometimes if they're into interesting niche areas. Yeah. I like the idea of conventions in general. Like I've only ever been to, I guess I've been to some other like more vague conventions, but I've been to Anime North. And just like there's an atmosphere to it. Like I would go to a furry convention even if I had nothing to contribute. I didn't have a fursuit or anything because it would just be so interesting to see it all. I mean, the other one, there was a weed convention that was supposed to go on during 2020. I was like, I want to go to that. I want to learn about all the weed.
That'd be fun.
That'd be pretty cool.
I'm sure there's an atmosphere, something that you'd have to be there to feel it kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I did go to, I don't remember what con it was. Like I'm trying to think. It was a con, like where I think it was a couple of years ago, and like you would go, and it was like a Comic-Con. There we go. And
okay, yeah, that's in this region, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was in Niagara Falls, and I seen my sister's friend that was a fursuit maker. She's does the Yeah Boy Luke suits or something like that. So it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and she was walking around. I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome. I want one. And right away when I seen it in person, I'm like, I gotta get one because like that is cool.
That's awesome. Do you think you would travel out of country when things open back up to go to some convention? Is there one that like sticks out in your mind?
I might. I've never really thought about it, to be honest.
How would you travel with the head? It wouldn't fit in a normal suitcase. It'd have to have its own carrying case.
That's true, yeah. How do you get on a plane with a fursuit?
Oh god, I have no idea. I haven't experienced that yet, so I have no idea.
Oh, man. I
don't know.
That's
the first. As soon as you said that, the only thing I could think of is that's not getting on a carry-on, and that's not getting on a checked bag. Like it's too big.
Yeah,
you'd have to pay for oversized luggage and basically have a custom bag to be able to fit it, and that's just the head.
Yeah. Well, the rest of it at least condenses down a little bit more, but
yeah.
I know some tails are kind of rigid and big, so that'd be tricky too.
Yeah. Well, my friend just ordered a tail
Not to put it down around things.
A partial, and the tail's like 5 or 6 feet long.
What species?
Trying to remember. I don't remember exactly off by heart, but yeah.
I know some people. I kind of feel bad for them because they're into the more intricate species. From what I've heard, like birds and specific types of birds. And it's like if you're gonna get something like a suit made to that, that's got to be the most expensive thing you could do. I mean, I haven't done my research or anything like that, so I don't know.
But like
they're so
individual
intricate.
species, like intricate.
Like be a cockatoo or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a very specific thing.
So I guess there's the thing too. You mentioned that this is a partial suit. You don't have the whole thing.
Right.
Do you see a big trend in like more partials being sold at this point in time? Because I guess a lot of people like the pre-made thing instead of waiting all the time for a commission.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to say. Like I would have waited, but like I saw this one. I'm like I said, I had to get it because I just fell in love with it, right? And it was a pre-made. And the website I found it on was dealersden.com, and they have like partials, full suits, there's base parts. They have fur, I think, clothing, and it's all over all over the world, really. And yeah.
I know that there's is there anybody like local? Because I always hear about people trying to get stuff, trying to support more local economy and stuff like that. Is there anybody local that's well known for making this kind of stuff?
Not that I've researched,
No.
but like I know there is some fursuit makers around there, like in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's fair. I watched some documentary a little while ago, and I think it was somebody in Oregon or somewhere in the States, but like it was interesting to see how the business startup was and how it was just some guy who saw an opportunity in the market because he had, I guess, a seamstress working for him and a bunch of other like talented people, and they just realized that people would be interested in buying these kind of products.
Yeah.
It seems like a fun business to start. I mean, we're I guess funny enough.
Yeah, as soon as you said seamstress, I'm like, I guess in theory I could be making them too.
Yeah, I just had that idea occur to me. So we're in a location that does, well, you do embroidery and you do
And we do
screen printing and stuff.
custom uniforms, and the fabric that we have, it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to be able to manufacture fur suits.
Yeah, I think it's all about just cutting out patterns and
Yeah.
sewing them together.
Yeah. Well, the hard part would be cutting the base, like the foam base. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn how to make my own bases.
The base is just for the head.
Yeah.
So so how would you go about doing that then?
So you have to use different thicknesses of like foam, like not like normal, like not like household foam, like the what I'm hard to say.
Styrofoam or
No, it would be like a bed
something
foam.
different. A bed foam, like a memory foam or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you just cut it out and try to.
Do you just glue the pieces together then? I
You
guess
use hot glue. You glue them together.
that does sound tricky. Is there like a wire frame that supports it, or is it just the foam?
Just everything is just foam.
Yeah, that sounds really difficult to do.
Like I was watching a tutorial and I tried it. No, sorry, don't worry about that. And watched the tutorial and it's like, I'm like, that's a lot of work. Like,
I guess there's a reason people pay so much money for other people to do it.
yeah, and like I tried it and I got frustrated, so I kind of gave up on it. But I might revisit that in the future because, trying to make your own it can be hard, but like
Rewarding.
with a lot of things, it's hard to do, right? Like, so.
I guess maybe, I don't know how costly, is it costly for like materials, or is it relatively cheap to just trial and error the thing?
It's trial and error. I spent about $150 on the foam, the hot glue gun, the glue,
Yeah.
and then like 2 different thicknesses of foam at Walmart.
Okay. So it's
That
not
would-
super cheap if you wanted to just keep making them until you get it right, because I imagine you got to trial and error.
That
the thing.
that cost would probably be the cheap. Like building the frame itself is probably the most cost-effective way once you start getting into the fur. At least in this world, if we were to be buying rolls of fur, we're not just buying a foot of it. We have to buy a whole roll.
Yeah.
So it would get quite expensive quite quick.
Yeah, when I was younger. I was going to make it, and then I kind of lost interest. I went to Fabricland and purchased about.
Pricey.
You priced it all out at Fabricland?
Yeah, Fabricland, they sell fur like this kind of
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, and
But
that,
I guess for an average consumer, that'd be the place where you would have to go.
yeah,
That's fair. I also abandoned a Fabricland-based project when I was a kid. I wanted to make a ghillie suit because I saw it in video games and I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I got the burlap, I got all the sorts of clothes, and I made something that was not nearly as good as I had hoped for.
But there is something to be said about making your own, because you like think the Grinch mask. We had it painted and everything, and it was very much built as our own. If you own it and you design it, it becomes more of a part of you. I can see the personal connection to having your own design.
I
outfit.
think there are probably some personalities that have made their own suits
that?
out of necessity or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that, because like an artist who's been doing it their whole life probably is going to do it better than you can do it, even if you really, really practice to a degree.
That's
like,
true.
I mean, if you think about it, if you're going to get a portrait of something made, you're going to try and paint until you can get it right, or are you just going to pay somebody to paint it who's been doing it their whole lives?
I mean, it all depends if you want to try and whatnot.
If that's if trying's part of the fun, then that makes sense, I guess.
yeah.
Most of the time I just learn to do things out of necessity, like
necessity is the mother of invention.
exactly, like renovation stuff and all that. Which, of course, if you're broke, building your own stuff is a necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how that goes. What do you think of the community in this region or other furries you know? Do you think it's like quite a friendly community? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's friendly. Like like you were saying earlier, there's the ups, like going to cons and stuff, and then you got the stuff that a lot of people think about furries, like the inappropriate aspect, right? So like I think the community is very positive, and if you like what I would say is if you do things right, it'll be positive, like if you do it the right way. And the way I see it as is, no inappropriate crap stuff and like that, right? Like,
I've heard stories about some furries trashing like convention centers. Like I think there was some story maybe a decade ago, for all I know. But
That's
like,
not going to leave a good positive image on them.
I know, but it's interesting because I know that there's like some hotels and convention centers that have just banned those kinds of conventions because it's been so crazy.
See, that's the thing. Like when people do that, or furries do that, it just leaves the bad reputation for everybody else, right? Like we're not all the same. No furry is the same, right? Like it's like people, us human beings.
Yeah.
We're just wearing a costume. It's not like,
I think there's a bit of like splintering in the community too. Like I said before, it's becoming more acceptable that people could do their own separate, like adult-oriented things. But I remember talking to, there's a relative of my fiance who was a furry, but was completely like repulsed by the idea of somebody mersuiting or whatever. Like, but I don't know. They walked around conventions or whatever in their fursuit, and they were big into it. But it was just interesting how like they like had looked at those people with so much like reproach. It was crazy. So I thought maybe there'd be some more unfriendly aspects to the community in the region, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, like I said, I haven't really been to like a convention and
That's
stuff,
fair.
so, but I'm excited once everything reopens. I'm excited to go out and do all that.
It seems to me the furry community has just been hit with occasional cases of bad PR.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
I think the one that a lot of people have seen is I think it was like CSI or like some crime scene one. That was a funny episode to watch because of how weird they portrayed everything.
Yeah, but stuff like that can change. Like the fact that you came to talk to us is good because as soon as you nailed the interview, I was excited because that's a unique interview and it's a unique perspective, and the fact that that you're, it sounds horrible to say, but I said it exactly to you. You're breaking the stereotype because you're a normal person.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because it's obviously even people that haven't been exposed to it. I guess I spent a good few. Is that what fell before?
I don't know. I don't even know what's fallen.
I couldn't tell.
It's okay.
I spent a good amount of time in my teenage years dressed up, and I had forgot that I did. And here we are. We're just talking.
I think that people might not understand, too, what the general idea. A furry is just pretty much anybody who's, I guess, into the anthropomorphization, I can't even say the word, of animals. Which, I mean, if you're like in, and you also maybe partake in aspects of the community, but like anybody who even like watches Disney movies with, cute talking animals is at least taking part in
like
some
Zootopia,
of that.
Right? Like
Yeah.
Zootopia
Oh,
was a
God.
big-
Zootopia. Absolutely. It's complete anthropomorphization.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, is people who love that. I think I heard something about the whole fandom starting back in like the 70s or something. It was just people that were into drawing stuff. They were into drawing figures.
So it's an artistic.
It
has an artistic base.
It started off like that for sure.
Yeah.
I can see it, and I can see why it's still artistic.
Mm-hmm.
It's just less people perhaps making the art and allowing other people to make the art and purchase. But it's very cool. It's definitely interesting to get to talk to you versus just seeing you on Facebook
Or memes or something,
anything like that. We follow memes a lot, and you are a mainstay, and you're definitely one of the least controversial people because nobody has a ton of negative to say, which is good. You're kind of just doing your own thing, and there's a lot of people in Welland that do their own thing that catch a lot more fire, but you're not.
Yeah, I'm just out there to have fun and just be myself, like I enjoy it.
Yeah. And I mean, you're not hurting anybody, so why not?
Yeah.
Where do you, set, I don't know what the question would, what, do you have where do you separate your interests? Do you have other interests that are outside of this? Is this your,
What
other
passion?
What other hobbies do you got?
Well, I'm big into Lego. That's my biggest
That's
hobby.
awesome.
That's my biggest hobby right now.
What
It's a very good quarantine hobby.
So what kind of stuff does an adult do with Lego? Kind of curious. 'Cause I haven't played with this since I was a kid, so
I build Jurassic World sets. That's what I do.
What kind of sets do you build?
Well, I'm big into modeling, so like I model like try to model my own trains, fire trucks.
Okay.
So,
That's neat, yeah.
And very artistic.
yeah.
So I'm just imagining like the base color set of bricks, but is it like more...
Oh yeah, Legos from when they started, they've come a long way. Like they got motors, they got things to make Lego like run. They got trying to think of other stuff here. Like the minifigure has come a long way from since they originally started.
That's interesting. I guess it's kind of similar. Like I know a lot of friends that are into like just models for like Dungeons and Dragons or whatever fantasy thing that they're into. I guess it's a similar vibe to that. And I know lots of people that are like in their like 50s and 60s that are into train sets. So it's kind of like a combination of those two things. I could see the part of it being interesting to me if you could like program something of a city where you have like lights turn on at a specific time and you have like sequences of like noises and things like that. Like you make a model city set. That'd be really neat.
So yeah, I've seen a lot of YouTubers, they do that. Well, they don't have the lights and sounds, but like they have cities, like there's just one YouTuber, Jang Bricks. He's got a huge Lego city. And I want to eventually get to that point, but it's just a matter of money, space, and time.
Yeah,
Lego isn't cheap.
Yeah, and the space especially. Like I could imagine, like what do you get something the size of like a pool table to build it on, or you need more space than that maybe?
When I was younger, I used to have a Lego Harry Potter Hogwarts castle. It was huge. It was the biggest Lego set I ever owned, and I don't know where we found the space for it. Like it was a castle, 100%.
That's neat.
Nice.
But to do a whole city like that would be intense.
Yeah.
Or a whole town.
I feel like I'd almost want to like film something in it, like get a macro lens and like just you film a.
There's a
stop-motion
miniature
movie or
place
something.
in Toronto called like Mini Canada or something like that has built. I think they were supposed to open officially last year, but something happened and they didn't. But they built to relative scale a miniature version of Canada that you can go see, and if you want, you can pay to have a miniature version of you put in your hometown. And as soon as you said that, I thought maybe we should talk to them and try to get an episode with them there.
That'd be so cool.
That would be.
Yeah.
But that seems, I mean, I'd love to go. That seems up your alley, and it also seems up your alley as well.
The how much space is it currently taking up in your house though?
In our apartment, it takes up a lot of space. Like I have a lot of Lego.
Like a whole room dedicated to it at this point, or
Not yet. That's down. We're hoping to get there eventually.
Okay.
But me and my fiance, we have the living room / kitchen area or dining area that has a lot of most of my Legos out there.
So it's also the Lego room.
the Lego room?
Yeah.
It'd be cool almost as if you could incorporate it as part of the room, like you had it going around the outside or something, and it's just like is a part of the
I've seen people
decor.
that have taken homes and taken out like parts of the wall, the drywall, and then filled it in with Lego bricks to add like a different type of look, or put the flat Lego, like the grass sets on the wall, so you can build Lego up the wall.
Yeah.
Stuff like that would be neat.
I guess the closest thing to that I've seen was James May, the British TV presenter, had a whole special on Lego, and they built a legitimate full-size home out of just Lego.
Wow.
It was amazing.
It would be.
Yeah, no, I mean structurally, they made it work somehow. It was so cool, so cool to see. I think it's probably demolished at this point, but I think it's sat on the piece of land and whatever, and then the city ordered it to be removed.
Oh boy.
But it was neat to see. You got, I guess, any other hobbies that come to mind?
Well, I don't know, this is kind of my hobby too, is landscaping, I guess. Like I do cut grass and stuff. It's something.
It's also your job, or it's just a side thing?
That's a side thing right now. I'm trying to start a business, but it's got its ups and downs right now.
Well, if you're a business that's looking to brand things,
yeah.
you know where to come. We'll do uniforms and stuff
Okay,
like that.
awesome.
That's my one shameless promotion per episode. That's all
That'd be
I'm allowed.
pretty
So you're gonna focus on the cutting lawns and like maybe like snow removal, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah. Well, I
Snow
do.
removal would be lucrative for certain parts of the year.
Certain parts.
Yeah.
Well, they usually flip flop lawns and snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there other like stuff like hedge trimming and stuff like that you might specialize in or no?
I haven't really done much hedge trimming this year yet, but I'm hoping to do more. Like, I've only ever started growing last year, so
So maybe like planning out gardens and stuff is a thing you do?
I would like to get into that.
Yeah, because I've seen you can do a whole lot with a simple fountain and a bunch of really well choreographed flowers that come out at every part of the year. And
Yeah.
it looks like a fun hobby to get into. The thing I always think of for money makers for landscaping is like the interlock stonework and things like that too.
That's another thing that you can do too. Like, when I was younger, I did a lot of work with a guy, and we did like a lot of renovations to properties and stuff. So, and we built, what did we do? We did turned a garage into like an apartment. It took us about 3 months.
That's neat. Yeah.
But it was already kind of like pre-built. Like, it already had the apartment inside, but we had to just renovate it to make it look nicer.
The renovation stuff is something I've taken a big interest in the past 3 years, just because I guess I got into framing houses, but then I ended up buying a duplex and then another house later, and there's just so many things to renovate and make them, more acceptable to rent out and make your own home a bit better to live in.
Yeah.
You learn a lot as you go, for sure.
Well, yeah.
Turning a garage into a livable space does sound like pretty fun, though.
Going back to something you just brought up, and you can go as general and broad as you want, or you can get specific, but you mentioned a fiance, so congratulations.
Thank you.
As long as I heard you right.
Yep. Thank you.
How are you two in the same, fandom?
Yes.
Okay.
He's
So
a
that
furry
probably
as well.
that makes it work. Yeah.
Well, yes, that's why I was asking, because if she was very vanilla and but it would have been a very interesting dynamic. But
Yeah.
since you're both into it, that would definitely be beneficial in this case.
Yeah.
There's probably a ton of videos out there of what it's like to be furry and dating or something.
So,
That would be intimidating.
yeah. Well, it was hard when me and Casey met. It was really we met up on Howler, right? I don't know if it's
Explain what that
it's
is.
an app that you can chat or meet people or go for dates and stuff. It's kind of like Furry Mate or Fur Flirting. Those are other websites.
So it's like a furry Tinder, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But it's not really. When I was on there, it was really quiet around here and for Welland, but there's a lot of people out in St. Catharines and Toronto and.
Yeah, it makes sense that the big population centers are going to be. I think that's the way it works for pretty much any dating app. Like if you go on Tinder, you're going to be looking at people that are well over 40 kilometers away once you phase through the small subset that's around here.
Yeah, and then we met at the bar about all places, and we were just supposed to be a hookup, and then we just clicked. We had a lot in common, right?
Match made in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, he's awesome.
So because this is interesting to me, when you met at the bar, I would assume you met as your regular
Not in
persona,
not
not in
fursuit.
the
No, I did-
persona capacity.
That sounds like a bad romance movie or something.
Yeah, but that's why I'm asking, because I don't know. You'd be sticking out, unfortunately, like sore thumbs if you did it that way. But at the same time, I've been in situations where I've been in places waiting to meet my online date, and I don't know who they are. At least you would know.
Yeah.
That's true.
So how does that transition? You meet, especially when you said that it was supposed to be a hookup.
Yeah.
Would you go home and don the garb of your character? I don't know.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
That's why I didn't Google anything. I want this to be my first introduction.
So no is the answer, I guess.
Okay.
No. So when I met Casey, we I had my first suit, not like my first suit, physical. I had my picture on the profile, and I chatted with him, and then we said, hey, do you want to meet up and hang out and get to know each other? And then it was like, sure, why not? And from there, we just clicked. And at first, we were hanging out, going once a week, just going to the bar before the virus hit. And then once we heard about it, it's like, okay, well, we're not going to the bar no more because you can't, right? And then for about 2 weeks, I'm trying to think, back. It's been a while now since we've been together. So, trying to think.
It's okay. I guess the logistics of dating as a furry are probably pretty similar to dating as anybody else.
Yeah.
I could see there being a bit more of a contrast if like you had to come out about it to your partner later because they weren't in the fandom or something.
But then even on the flip side, you said you had pictures of your
so
on
like
the website, but did you have a picture of your regular self too? Because if you're going to a bar to meet up, you want to know who you're meeting.
Yeah, my tactic would probably be to exchange some pictures beforehand just to be sure.
I guess that's fair. That would make more sense.
They probably don't block you from sending pictures. Although I think that on Tinder now you can't even send pictures anymore or anything like that.
I mean, that's probably just to avoid a mass amount of unwarranted
absolutely
pictures. But no, that I don't mean to sound stupid when I ask that, but I've never had my dating profiles have always had more or less exactly my face. So what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And they weren't any specialized apps, so I just had to ask.
Is there any topics that you came here thinking maybe it'd be fun to talk about that we haven't talked about?
Honestly, I just came here
Just relax. Oh yeah.
Yeah, just for the,
We like to think that it's a pretty cool platform. This would be episode 79 out of all the episodes that we've done, and we have had ranges of real estate agents, people who have spent time in the world of escort and whatnot, and it's just a great platform for people who are interesting and have an interesting perspective or story to tell.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about maybe making content like all the famous furry social media people, or do you just like keeping it to yourself?
Furry Lego content.
That'd be cool.
Really niche.
Because you have the confidence to go out in fursuit, so it seems like you might have the confidence to make funny videos there.
Well, I try to do Twitch, like streaming and stuff. So
like, what kind of, you're playing a game when you're on there?
yeah, so I do Call of Duty, Cold War, Black Ops, all those games, Minecraft.
Interesting. I know. I guess the biggest furry that I can think of for streaming on Twitch would be Beta. I can't say his name. Beta Ada Delocha or something like that.
Okay, I've never heard of him.
You never? Okay. Interesting. I don't think he does it in suit or anything. I actually don't even watch the streams. I just know that he does that.
Yeah. I know.
Sorry, I'm not really part of the crowd, I guess, that watches streams.
That's okay. I know one, I'm trying to think, Corey Coyote does sometimes.
Oh, yeah, Corey Coyote, okay.
He does it in shooting sometimes. Like, he has the head on while he's
Really?
playing his racing game or something. Or
That's hilarious.
yeah, I'd like to try that eventually, but I just don't have the space.
That's fair. So what do you use as your setup for streaming? Is it just like a webcam or something, or?
Well, no, I just stream off the PlayStation, right? I just go share and then...
So there's no video of you?
No, not yet. I'm hoping to do that eventually. It's just, I got to figure it out. I'm not really tech inclined, so...
I know that the old world of streaming was all about like capture cards and things that you had to buy, but it seems so much easier now with consoles and a lot of stuff that's pre-built into your computer's graphics card and all that.
Yeah.
So... yeah, it makes it a bit easier. I actually wouldn't know where to start. We do a lot of video stuff, but I don't know how you'd stream and overlay your face, which seems like it should be pretty easy considering the number of people who do it. But
I know that when Justin streams, he uses something called OBS, which is Open Broadcast System. And when we first started to try to get into live streams, like 2 years ago, I downloaded it, and it was a machine hog, but it would work. So you'd be able to overlay DSLR footage or webcam footage,
right?
And it worked very well.
So I guess I didn't ask though. Do you include audio at all, like of you talking, or is it just the game sound?
Yeah. So how it works with the PlayStation is
Probably it's like PlayStation headset.
Yeah. So I plug it into the controller or whatever, and then like when I stream, I hit stream, and then it tells you a little thing saying that your microphone or party chat is being recorded.
Okay.
With the stream, which I thought was pretty cool. It's like awesome. I don't have to like do a microphone and then have to go on the computer and do all that stuff. So
I feel like this is a really basic concept that I should understand, but it's I don't know, because I haven't had a console since like my PlayStation 3. I'm just a PC gamer, I guess, because it was convenient. I happen to have a good PC, so
yeah. I do some PC gaming too on my fiance's computer. So
well, nowadays isn't the mentality that if you have a console, you're a PC gamer now too. They're pretty much hand in hand.
Probably.
They're just a
It's way more
powered PC.
Yeah, it's way more like of a desirable object now for people to like get a custom built gaming machine and stuff, just because they see all these popular streamers doing it.
I don't game enough to justify it. I want one because there's games that I want to play that I can't play anywhere else.
Your justification would be all the video editing that you do, like
yes,
building that
it'd
machine.
be a double dip.
Yeah, that's my justification. Is if I need the horsepower for Photoshop or whatever.
And the more I think about it,
there.
the more I think maybe the next one's not going to be an iMac. But
The iMacs are great for the editing side, just none of the gaming side.
right, which at the time, again, I don't game enough to justify. But then again, I justify the cost of the iMac, so I don't know. It's a weird business.
Yeah.
We are getting a little bit closer to the end of this, but we have a question, I guess, that would be kind of interesting to know, especially from you, because we ask everybody this question. If there was somebody you think would be a good fit to be on this podcast and who would be interesting, is there anybody that you could refer us to?
Yeah, I suppose the caveat would be of people you know. There's a lot of people that would be interesting.
Yeah, just somebody that you personally are in contact with.
Honestly, I don't know.
You don't? That's okay. That's fine.
I'm trying to think of some people here.
Maybe somebody that's in the fandom that's really outspoken and confident, or it doesn't have to be related to that at all, really.
Okay.
You can sit and think about it. You have your
let's think
contact.
about it.
You can figure it out.
Okay.
We
Well,
always like building our future episodes from the recommendations of people from previous episodes.
That's pretty cool.
on that note, I think now is a pretty good time to wrap up. Thank you for coming. It's been so interesting.
Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it. So
no problem. I hope you have many more times that you appear on Well Memes because I love seeing it.
Don't really be
so.
surprised if this ends up there too.
oh gosh, that'd be awesome. Oh my god.
Alrighty, well, I'm Jesse. Everybody, have a great week.
Bye.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye bye.